Hello friends, it's David Bose. I hope you're having a wonderful day where you are. It's a beautiful day here in Oklahoma. A little windy, clouds are in the sky, but it's warmed up and spring's coming. Well friends, I want to get right into the video that we're going to do today because well, we haven't really done a video for a little while where we just sit down and just talk about some things. You know, I want to do a video today about Jesus because I think there are a lot of people that don't believe in Jesus consciously. I don't think most people believe in Jesus. And I don't think most people understand what Jesus is, or who he was, or even if he really existed. And they think, you know, remember there's a concerted effort going on in the world to keep us in ignorance. And so, there's probably a lot of you that have picked up on that. You don't know. We have no proof. Except that you've been down a long time and they've been picking on you. And you've got no hope. And life is sort of crazy. I mean, it just doesn't seem right. You don't have a lot of family. You don't have a lot of friends. There's a lot of arguing. There's a lot of fighting. A lot of people are poor. People are suffering. People are dying. And so it becomes a little bit hard for some people who have been suffering and starving or they've been sick, been unhappy to the point where for some people that maybe they wanted to end it all. They literally can't cope with all of this. I mean, this is bad. The world is bad. I mean, the least of our problems is boredom, but that can be very bad. People are literally bored. But I wouldn't call it boredom, but they don't have any friends, you know. They don't have any love. And they're scared. Like a child wandering around in the darkness. You know, they imagine boogeymen and monsters. And they're scared out of their minds. And they're really scared. But now ask yourself, do they really believe in boogeymen or monsters? See, because I think I want to figure out today in this broadcast whether or not we really are scared or whether we're just pretending. Is everything just a lie? Do we just deceive ourselves? Are we really scared? Are we really bored? Are we really here? I mean, what is going on? You can live for years. And all of that is just stuff in your mind because the only moment you have is the moment right now. And that's over pretty quickly. So all you've got to contemplate is past memories. And you can play around with dreaming about the future. But for the most part, most of your dreams have been shattered. There isn't any hope of doing something that would be exciting. When you're a child, you don't know what this entire world is. You just woke up. You just were born. Everything's exciting, right? Puppies. Children are amazingly happy because everything is new and they've never been shot down enough yet because they're still little. They still have hope, some of them. Not all kids, but they're pretty resilient. Anyway, you will see in children happiness. But why? There isn't anything spectacular that's going to happen, right? We're not talking about kids going to Disneyland. We're talking about kids just playing around the yard, just having fun, screaming, playing trucks and cars or what. They're happy. Why? How come we're not happy? And it doesn't matter to those kids. They just believe whatever mom and dad tells them. If mom and dad tells them that there's a Jesus, then they believe in Jesus. It really wouldn't matter, though, would it? They trust in their father and mother. They don't know anything else. And every day the sun comes up and they just trust that it will come up. Every morning they wake up, they go into the kitchen and mom's in there, or mom's in the living room, or mom's somewhere, and dad is at work and comes home, and they have assurances that everything's going to be all right. But then they see mom and dad fighting after a while. Because now it's been a few years, and this is getting boring. And they start picking at each other, the parents. They're not happy. They know they have responsibilities, but they're like, what is life? It's just a bunch of responsibilities. Not happy. So their kids watch their lives come apart. Mom and dad are fighting. Maybe they get divorced. Sometimes terrible things happen. Somebody goes to jail, or, you know, they have to witness their parent passing away, or this is the world we live in. So it doesn't take very long for a child to begin to realize that there probably isn't going to be any Christmases, any real Christmases. The Santa Claus is just a phony. And so, you know, Jesus isn't coming back either. There's no Jesus. Why would there be a Jesus? So a lot of you are thinking, well, there you go, Dave, and that's the situation, and there's nothing you can do about it, Dave. We don't know who we are. Obviously, there's no Jesus. There's no Santa Claus. There's no tooth fairy or nothing, and all there is pain and suffering. And once you get adjusted and realize that running and playing was okay when you were a kid, pretending and having fun, but this world doesn't allow you to do that. You got to go to work. You're a slave. I mean, there are many ways you could become a slave. You know, you could literally have a metal iron ring around your neck. You could have a ring in your ear and be chained to a pole working in the field. You could be a sex slave. You could be literally, your only hope for that day isn't that you're going to have salvation, but it's just that you can physically stop turning those wheels, plowing those fields, manning that factory position, that you get to go home. Then, whoosh, you go home, you fall into your chair, you drink some whiskey. Problem is now you're getting physically sick. You're getting it's getting harder to go to work. You're irritable. Your second wife and you are fighting now. You don't even know where your kids are. I mean, this is a world that is really bad. Okay, and you all know this world exists. And this is what we're dealing with. Why would we believe in Jesus? I've been here all my life, and my parents were here, and Jesus didn't do anything for my parents, didn't do anything for me, didn't do anything for this nation, supposedly one nation under God, right? We're just over here dying, suffering. We got no hope. All right, I think I've clearly described the situation we're in. But look at how you were deceived about all of those thoughts. Look at how many of those thoughts were wrong. No, literally, we have to think about this. Number one, the only reason that you were unhappy, when you were a kid, you weren't unhappy. When everything was okay, there was a moment there for most of us. I think most of us had a moment, maybe from between 1 year old and 5 or 7 or 10 or 12, or some of us got to have a pretty good life up into our 20s. I don't know. But for most of us, life does finally begin, and we have to go out and become a slave. Witness our parents dying That happens. Everybody has to witness that. Witness our family members going to jail or being on drugs or suffering or fighting or children going to the hospital. All of that's going to happen. And we learned right away, we began to be not trusting the world. So we think we're on to them. Oh, they're just lying. The government's not for us. It's against us. You caught that, did you? Well, then Jesus is probably not true either. In fact, that would be the most, the first thing for anybody who were ready. If you're ready to wake up to reality, that's the problem we have in this world, is that the reality of the world is out there in the silence along the stream of a cool, clean brook coming down a glen, a deer drinking out of the brook, a rabbit darting through the bushes. An entire day of just sitting in the sunlight and watching flies, birds, the wind blow through the trees. That's the reality. We live in a world. There's a physical earth beneath you. There are trees, there are birds and animals and things. But we're not in that world. That's the world we live in, but we're not in that world. We're in a city life, a man-made existence. So what's the point of life? Nothing. You got it. There's no point to life in this man-made existence. The man-made existence was made for the very reason that you're unhappy. Because it wasn't made to make you happy. This concrete asphalt world that you live in. It's not there for you to be happy. Oh, but they're giving you education, Dave. No, they're giving you instructions on how to be their servants. How to slave and be productive as a slave. Okay, they don't care that you lost your family members or that your children are hungry or starving or that you're bored or you're unhappy or that you want to do something on your own and achieve something in your life. They don't care. You don't go to work for us and learn what we want you to do and do a very good job doing it. We'll fire you and then you won't have any food and your children will be hungry. So you found out this is the reality and you don't like it and you think that the world's a bad place and therefore I don't even like Jesus anymore. Because if he created this mess, then he's he ain't doing anything for us. But go back. You realize that this world was crazy. But what world was it that was crazy? What are they trying to deceive? You realize they're trying to deceive you. But you're not, you got to get your senses straight. You got to figure out why they're trying to deceive you. They're trying to stop you from having fun. Or is that the main reason? Or are they just trying to keep you as a slave, to work for them? And therefore never allow your mind to realize that it doesn't have to be a slave. So therefore when you look up at these concrete buildings and this rat race that you've been, this little rat wheel that you're on, round and around and around, and you might get some old stale cheese. You begin to realize it's a fake, that it's a phony, that it's a lie. It's all a bunch of lies, and somebody's trying to mistreat you, and there's no hope in this world. But that is the world of the concrete. That is not the real world. Go back out there. There is a real reality. But you've got to get this straight, or else you're going to die. Or else you're going to be unhappy. And yes, eventually, well, not even eventually, very soon now, I'm going to show you and prove to you that you're not going to make it into a happy, good world. You're actually going to secure yourself a seat on the road to hell. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove to you that you got to do something right away. That you need to wake up. That the world that you saw, that you say, I am so smart, I saw it, I don't like this, I don't trust it, there's no Jesus. That world was the fake world. That was the concrete world. That was the Sunday school lesson that you received. And of course, that's why they want you to have that teaching. Because that way you'll come back to their church every week and throw some money in the pot. And the pastor can get richer. And why is this promoted? On the television? I mean, they're not making money off the pastor, right? No, the television wants you to go to that church as well, because they want you to learn the rules of this world. Don't take money from your masters. Don't speak out when you're suffering. Do what you're told. Only worship the one God that says you must go to war, kill everybody, and women be slaved, and slaves everywhere, and buying up and selling everything. And let's build a government with laws, right? Commandments. You must obey or we stone you. That's the world that you finally woke up to and realized it was wrong. But here's how diabolical it is. Well, that's the Bible. That's the Bible. Keep the commandments. Oh, but this is where they deceived you. That's not the New Testament. That's the Old Testament. We have an old, we have a new. I know, we're going to get to everything. All the little things you're thinking about. Why even believe in a Bible? Why even... Okay, we're going to get there. Number one, yes, you're right. You're looking at the world. You got your suspicions. Anyone would have their suspicions. But here's the problem. It's geared to making you come to the wrong conclusion. So you come to the wrong conclusion that it's futile to live. Therefore, you don't have any dreams to fulfill. You don't have any happiness. You treat your family bad because you're so tired you can barely move. And that's what they want. They want you to keep on plugging away and working as their slave until you can't take it no more, and then you die. They don't want you overcoming, gaining happiness, and living in reality, which is, if reality wasn't a happy place, if reality wasn't a good place to be, then you might have a point. What a world if reality, what an existence. That the reality of the universe sucks. But see, there's where we're wrong. That's all we see, is that something is sucking here. But it's this world, and we won't give it up. Oh, they got you right where they want you. They've convinced you to hang on to the stuff that's killing you. The television, the food that they're feeding you, the propaganda in the schools, the propaganda on the television, believing and hating and not liking your neighbors, and, oh, there's terrorists in other countries, and there's chinks over here, and Japs over here, and terrorists over here, and whatever, right? Everybody's hating everybody, and everybody's don't trust nobody. And meanwhile, the elite are sitting in their castle on a hill, and we don't ever blame them. We don't even know who they are. But they own the Goggle Brothers, and they own the Walmart kingdom, right? Which is enslaving you. Walk down this aisle, turn here. There's marks on the aisle. It tells you which way to walk and how to, 6 feet apart. Must distance yourselves. Put a mask on. Don't talk to anybody. Don't touch anybody. And go straight home and get down in your basement and hide. And then get up and go to work for the man, right? You can do that. You got to work. You got to be our slave. And have us come and check it out. Once you get depressed, we'll check you out and tell you that you're needing our drugs, right? And we'll prescribe them for you. Keep you in a trance. You're about to check out. You're done. You're over. But somewhere along the line, we got to wake up and realize that that's the problem, is that we have to get out of this world. It's killing us. It's deceiving us. It's lying to us. I'm going to show you a little clip here at this point, just to give you a little bit of a sense of how badly somebody's lying to you. And when we find out they're for sure lying to us, when we finally wake up and say, okay, I got that, I got it, they are lying to us, then you got to decide why. Because when you find out why, you're going to have the answer as to what to do. So watch this little clip here and just look at this.
There are certain aspects of being vaccinated and what that means to you personally and your own personal safety and that of your family versus what vaccines will allow you to do in society. One relates to you yourself being vaccinated, and the other relates to the number of people and the relative percentage of people in society that will be vaccinated, because there will be things that you will not be able to do because the burden of virus in society will be very high, which it is right now. Even though we're going way down on the decline that Dr. Walensky showed you, we are still at an unacceptably high baseline level, with the 7-day average being quite high. So there are things, even if you're vaccinated, that you're not going to be able to do in society. For example, indoor dining, theaters, places where people congregate. That's because of the safety of society. You yourself, what you can do when you are together with another person, we are looking at that. And we're going to try and find out very quickly what recommendations could be made about what people can do. One of the things that's universal here, that we know, that at this point in time, it is unclear whether when you get vaccinated and you might be protected from clinical disease, which is the primary endpoint of the vaccine studies, that you could conceivably be infected, have virus in your nasopharynx, and at that same time have no symptoms, which is the reason why we recommend and say you still need to wear a mask. Because if you do have virus in your nasopharynx, even though we hope that when the data comes in, it's going to show that the very virus level is quite low and you're not transmitting it, we don't know that now. And for that reason, we want to make sure that people continue to wear masks despite the fact that they're vaccinated.
All right, so there's a guy that's on the television. What is a television? That's not part of reality. But here's this guy. He's coming over the airwaves. And he starts talking. And you, oh, well, it's somebody important. Let's watch this. Oh, I've got to go to work. That's something important. Oh, I've got to build this mansion and live in it like a prison. It's all important. I got to go out and work the rest of my life like a slave to pay for this. Oh, what's this guy saying? Okay, listen. Well, he says you got to wear a piece of paper over your mouth because there's an invisible thing floating around and you're going to die. Well, now, you don't see anything invisible because it's invisible. You don't know, but you see for 1,000 years they've been telling you, oh, you could be sick. They've been building you up for this for a long time. You say, why would they do that, Dave? You're stupid. Why would they lie about things like that? You probably think they didn't go to the moon, right? You know why they lied to you about the moon? Because that's all part of it. They had, all this was being built up. An entire existence for thousands of years of doing things that we shouldn't be doing. Lying about things. Telling us that we have to go fight the Germans or the Iraqis or the Vietnamese. Well, the truth is that there was an elite group of people that had the media in all these countries. And on the news, they could tell you that there was this terrible war. That those people over there in China don't like you. They're going to come and kill you. Of course, in China, they're hearing about how the Americans don't like them and we're going to come and kill them. So they get the people of China to give up because they don't know what the truth is. They can't find reality. And they're wandering around in this maze of misinformation and they're being told they're going to die. And they know they're going to die because they feel like they're dying. But the elite, it's like a little voice in their head that's telling them, okay, now in order to survive this danger that we've created for you that doesn't exist, you got to do and obey us and in everything we say. All right, I think you get the point here. Your mind is thinking, there's nothing I can do. I have to obey. Because the alternative is to not obey. And you don't want to not obey. Do you see the problem here? You don't want to leave the mansion. You don't want to leave your luxurious car. You don't want to have to make dinner. You'd rather go to the fast food. There are several things in our society that we're now missing from our diet, that the average person has no clue. Again, they can't find reality. They just know they're dying, and they're getting upset, and it's irritableness, and they're fighting with people, and they're angry at somebody because they don't know what's going on. But here's another example. So you eat food and you think, well, it's food, right? Wait a minute. 1,000 years, we didn't have stores 1,000 years ago. So stores have food, but what is that? Is that called food? What's in the store? One aisle's paper products or whatever. We get into the food area where it was supposed to be food. And the first aisle is nothing but canned. Look on the ingredients. This long list of chemicals. That's not food. You say, well, it's just chemicals, Dave. It's just preserved. It's all right. Okay. There's where you're confused. That is poison. Then you got boxes of food, whether it's cereal or chips or cookies or whatever. All of that's full of a poison called sugar and all these other preservatives we talked about, and this thing called white flour. It is a extract from the food. Like heroin is an extract from the opiate plant, from opium, from the poppy. Okay, you can eat poppies, but if you take and extract that one thing, it'll kill you. It'll start making you get dark circle in your eyes until it rots your teeth out and your bones and you die very quickly. And you lose your conscious self. You lose contact with reality. You're now, following after this addictive substance that's got you imprisoned. So, you now think that you're sick and there's nothing you can do about it. What's wrong with this world? The Lord made a faulty world. Why it's not happy here. It's suffering. And we're all dying. And this is crazy. We're not dying because we're eating food. We're dying because we're eating poison. And we've got no clue that we're eating poison. Do you see that there's a lot of you out there that don't understand the reality of the evil, and you're just willing to participate in it? And if I told you, oh, it's evil, get out of the world, do you know what you would say to me? You're a fanatic. You're a conspiracy theorist. No, you are. You're the one listening to the conspirators, and that conspiracy theorist that you're listening to, Fauci or Bill Gates or George Soros, that says that we've got to have riots and wars throughout our cities all the time, fighting over what? Nike shoes? Poison? Food grows on the ground. Do you know what food is? Food is a whole plant. And so, because we think we're eating plants, because we look on the can or the box and it says corn, right? Or it says beans, or it says something that sounds like a food, right? But it's not food. It's not beans. It's a powder. It's a white powder, kind of like crystal meth, called sugar. I know you think that's a food, but it's not. It's poison. It's killing you. And so your body wakes up in the morning feeling like after 8 hours sleep, you feel worse than when you went to bed. I'm serious. You feel exhausted when you wake up in the morning. You can't go on much longer. You're about to the end of your rope. But you know what? You are never going to make it. I'm sorry, but you won't make it. I don't mean to be mean or hurtful, but I'm telling you, I'm trying to wake you up. If you don't do something right now, you're not going to make it. You've got to wake up to the reality that they're putting you into or getting you out of. I mean, this is not reality. And this thing that you're in, this is a bad B-rated movie or whatever, is killing you. And that's it. And we, the people, have the power, but we won't use it. Let me show you a clip.
And everybody's talking about now. I want peace now. We can get peace now if we want it now. And the left wing talk about giving the power to the people. You know, anybody knows that the people have the power. All we have to do is awaken the power in the people. The people are unaware. It's like they're not educated to realize that they have power. They put the politicians in power. They vote for the local mayor. The people do it. But the system is so geared that everybody believes that just the father will fix everything. the father being the government. Government will fix everything. It is all government's fault. You know, shake your fist at the government. Well, we are the government. The people are the government, and the people have the power, but we must try and make them aware of this.
So, it's kind of funny to me that John Lennon has so much wisdom. He was a man, just a man. But he became very famous, one of the most famous people in all the world. But, you see, he just was some guy that these elite individuals tried to use to destroy the people. And he woke up. And because he was in this position of power, and the reason he got that power is because he was an idiot, just one of the people that they were going to use to tell the other people to be stupid, right? We want you to dress this way and say these certain words in your song and you know. Well, John Lennon realized the power that he had in helping other people to understand things and the fact that people listened to him. And he kind of woke up and realized that this reality that people live in is not reality. And people were delusional, and they needed to wake up. And so he started trying to help people to understand that. But what would you do? Call him a conspirator? Would you call John Lennon a nutcase? Would you say he's crazy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, you say, yeah, Dave, maybe he's not crazy. But you see, he could be wrong just like the bad guys. They're wrong. We already proved that, right? The world we live in is crazy and it's difficult and we can't get out. No, we can get out if we wake up. But the fact is that most people won't. You say, well, how is the world going to wake? We don't have to. You can wake up by yourself. You don't need the rest of the world. Who cares what they do, right? And when you wake up, you can show and demonstrate to people how you're happy. You can do like Jesus and say, look, now I've shown you how to receive this power, the power of love, the power of happiness, the power of being well. Now go and help everybody and make them well. How do you make them well? Open their eyes. Open their eyes? Yeah, they can't see. They're blind. They're in a false reality. Wake them up. Who am I, Jesus? Or, you know, Jesus said to Peter, who am I? And Peter goes, you are the Son of the living deity. He had a revelation. If you don't get the revelation, they say, well, Dave, I don't know what you're talking about. This is, Jesus is another one of these fake things, right? You're the one that's in a conspiracy or a false reality. No, 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 no. You see, Jesus is a historical person. He's in the history books. And a lot of you don't believe that because you've been lied to about that. And we don't have enough time in this video to show you that he's in all of the history books. Every one of the historians talked about him, including the Talmud, the Midrash, the historians of the time. But more than that, we possess the books that were written by his students, his scribes, while he was on the earth. And we have the teachings, the movement that's spreading all over the world. Well, it didn't work. No, the movement was you need to wake up and receive the truth. And people are still walking around groping. And Jesus said, when the Son of Man returns, will he find faith on earth? It's a question. How many people will wake up? Will you? Because you see, that historical, we have precedence, we have belief, reason to believe that our father didn't lie to us when he said, yeah, I was born and my father was born and his father was born. And we know that there was such a thing as history. Okay, but they may be trying to convince you there's no history. Don't believe in that. Well, that's kind of silly. Why would they want you not to believe in history? Maybe because they don't want you to believe in Jesus. Because maybe that's the one who told you to get out of this world. To not believe in this world. You see? So, if there was a guy that ever came to the world and said, hey, this is a hoax, get out of this world, I've come to open your mind to help you understand that these guys have got you in slavery, but you've got to willingly say no. You've got to find that inner spiritual being within you that's powerful. Now, I'm a witness to it. I've experienced it. I'm Jesus. Look, I'm going to show you that these guys got nothing on me, and I'm overcoming this world. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And he did that, and we've got the stories of how he did that. And we got, for 2,000 years, the people who bled and died for that teaching. Why? Because they were trying to get out of the world. Now, at that time, the world that was killing them, right? And they believed in the hope, the hopium that this man gave them. We know the man existed. He was on the earth. Pilate, the guy who washed his hands of it, right? Who said to Jesus, what is truth? It was the Sanhedrin condemned him, but Pilate was there, and Pilate wrote a letter, and we still have that letter talking about the crucifixion and how Jesus, you know, how he washed his hands of it and said he was the Lord. This is historical. Say, well, I don't know if I believe it. Okay. You don't know if you believe history. You don't know if you believe that all of this physical world that we've been going through the last several thousand years is geared to deceive you and keep you as a slave. You don't know if you believe that. You're just going to go ahead and be a slave. You might as well just try that. You've been trying that all your life. Your daddy tried that. Your daddy's daddy tried that. And they were all slaves. That's real. You know that. You don't have to speculate. We've been slaves for a long time. The only thing you've got as an alternative to this world is nothing. It is bad. It is poor. It is evil. It is sad. We're all dying. And we're all slaves. The only other alternative is that you're free. And that there is a reality that's a real reality and not this fake one. Not the concrete slab that you step out onto off your, you know, your slum. You get down, you know, out of your slum and you walk around and you see the bottles of whiskey that they're selling on the corner and you wonder yourself, what are they trying to do to me? Well, they want to keep me sleeping. Why? So that you never read history. So that you never read that in the past there were people who warned us not to get involved in governments and lies and slavery, to walk away, but you don't want to believe in them. Let's say there wasn't ever a Jesus. Let's just say it's a hope. There's a whole book and a whole religion and a whole society and thousands of years based on the premise that history's gone this way, right? There was no Moses, Dave. That's all a hoax. Yeah, there is. There's 10 Commandments. It's in all the kingdoms. And people are trying to force everybody to keep all these laws made by Hammurabi and Moses. No, those people were real. Then there was another guy that came along and said, hey, I got another law. I come down from the Mount of Olivier. And he said, love one another. Just love one another. The only reason we're sick and dying is because we don't just go back into the reality. And if you really stop and think about it, I know, I'm sure some of you are thinking, yeah, but how would they pull that off? Come on, Dave, that's ridiculous. Just look at it and see. They're pulling it off because you're willing to believe them. When they offer you a job, you go get it. Oh, well, this job, you know, consists of killing your ancestors and wiping out the rest of your family and lying to your neighbors. Okay, that makes good money, right? Well, I just can't figure out what's wrong with this world. I just, you know, I believe in the Bill Gates of the world, but I certainly don't believe in that Bible. Oh, boy. Do you know? See, I think some of you probably think, well, no, it was government that promoted the Bible. That's not true. Rome murdered people for telling the truth, for exposing Rome. But the Bible got out because it didn't really expose anything. It called Rome Babylon. Babylon the Great or something. It used symbols and parables. And yeah, even though it didn't come directly right out and tell people the reality as much as they maybe you would think, but they still didn't like the Bible. They burned them. They did. A lot of you think, oh, the government promoted it. No, they didn't. The government spent 300 years, more than that actually, but in 325 AD, they came together with a plot to try and destroy Christianity. Because it was going like wildfire, spreading, because Jesus told his disciples, go and tell the good news. Tell everybody to wake up. It's real. I'm coming back. I know I would like to take you right now, but you know, I feel like a chicken with her little chicks, and I'd like to gather you under my wing, but you don't want me. You crucified me. They gave you a choice, and you decided to crucify me. And I didn't stop you, because I wanted you to understand that even if you killed me, that ultimately there is absolutely no way that the devil can hurt you. Only thing he can do is deceive you. And I am not even going to let him do that without coming directly to you and telling you myself, don't believe in him. The problem is when Jesus comes to you and he talks to you. Remember he said, I have to go in order to send the Holy Spirit, which will teach you everything you need to know. And so we've got the Holy Spirit, but most of us aren't listening because we're too busy listening to the lies. And, oh, well, I ain't going to believe in all that ridiculous stuff like Bibles and religion and truth. Well, I wouldn't believe in religion either. But truth, yes. If you want to know the truth, guys, the truth is that trees are reality. Butterflies, lakes, family, and love, sharing. Children wake up, they don't start fighting, they play. Children love each other. It takes the propaganda at school or the teachers union or Mary Poppins or something on television or abuse, right? Kids going hungry or kids watching their mothers being abused. That's what it takes to make children go crazy. The reason the world's crazy, trust me, this is the truth. If you don't believe me, and you don't believe the Bible, then you're going to believe this concrete world you live in, this unreality, the pain, the suffering. That's all you believe in. And you won't leave, and you're afraid to put down your keys and your credit card and all this garbage that means more to you than your own life. The whiskey, the bottle of whiskey, the cigarettes or whatever. They've convinced you not to partake of the herbs of the earth. Cannabis is an herb that grows on the ground. It's a whole plant. And you have opioid receptors and cannabinoid receptors in your body. You're supposed to eat wild plants, but you're not allowed to receive the dopamine and the serotonin and the GABA. You got GABA receptors that they're using that because they're depriving you of foods that have those, that can go to your GABA receptors and give you a state of mind that is at peace. There are certain chemicals and things that they put in there. We talked about the Campbell soup and the pesticides and the foods and stuff that aren't foods. There's chemicals in there that takes away your ability to be in your right mind. It makes you delusional and apt to believe in delusion. In other words, it's sort of a drug that you can give people and mesmerize them. Whisper in their ear lies and then they'll believe you because the drug causes them to believe you. Because it distorts your consciousness. And they know how these chemicals work. So this is why when they claim you're mentally ill because you're sad and depressed because of their world not being right, and they convince you somehow it's chemical imbalance, and therefore they now got to give you the chemicals that's going to make you a schizophrenic. Friends, it's not the Bible that you shouldn't believe in. It's not Jesus that you shouldn't believe in. It's not the real world that's right there in front of you. The trees, the rocks, the rivers, the deer. A little girl picking a flower in a field, who's sweet and adorable and just wants to be happy. She's not a sinner. That's what you were told. Lies. The Old Testament, the God of this world is blinding the minds of the unbelievers. That the Lord said, your father's the devil and he's a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And why won't you believe me? Because you wish to do the desires of your father. You're greedy little bums. And how will you escape the wrath to come? The wrath of that God who's coming to punish you because you didn't obey him. Our Father in heaven never does that. He just sits there and says all day long, come unto me, all those who thirst, and I will give you waters and living waters, and I will give you love, and I will give you happiness. Well, no, he has never done that for me, Dave. But because you never went to him. You didn't put down the lie in order to pick up the truth. You can't believe in truth when you're confused by all the glitter and the lies. Well, I don't understand what to do, what's right and what's Polaroid and what's real. And yes, you do. You're lying to yourself. You're willingly ignorant. You know the truth. And of course, you're being suckered into believing it. I mean, it's easy to believe in things that are greed and lust. Oh, if I can just have a little lust, I'll do anything for that. Including shut my mind off to the truth, because if I realize that I shouldn't be doing this, then I'll feel bad, and I don't want to feel bad. So, oh, this pleasure that I'm getting out of whatever it is that you're doing, or your whiskey, or your luxurious car, or your mansion on a hill, or, you know, your speech in the law office, or your courtroom diatribe, or whatever it is that you do, you feel sorry, happy for yourself because you're a lawyer, a king, a candlestick maker, whatever it is that you do, you're so proud of yourself because you're helping people, right? You're giving people shots in their arm that you know in your right mind is not something that, if it were a good thing, they wouldn't have to try and convince you that it's necessary and tie you down to put it into you. If you can't see that it's a big lie, that this entire world is a hoax, the concrete hoax that you're living in, the asphalt hoax, the curriculum that you have to continue to keep up with every day, believing you're not beautiful because you've been told that beauty is a mask that you put on in the morning, getting your energy from a cup of coffee or a cigarette rather than getting your energy from the sunshine and the flowers, and a wholesome meal that you make from plants. There's the lie. Now, if you can see that that's the lie, then you can imagine now why it's very important that you re-examine whether or not Jesus came to the earth. Because if he didn't, then these liars that you've now concluded are really truly liars, and you've finally realized it. So what's the alternative to the lie? Okay, remember, you don't believe in Jesus, right? But you believe in Fauci, and you believe in Bill Gates, and you believe, well, you never met Bill Gates. You don't know if he's real, but you saw him on TV, right? But anyway, he's telling you it's over. You'll never be free again. And you got to do what we say. The world's coming to an end because there's an invisible enemy. And so now, just stop making money and being independent and learning how to take care of yourself, and just lay down and let us take care of you. We promise that we'll give you all the best things. Yeah, a little poison here and there, but don't worry, it only kills you slowly, right? There's only going to be an agony, but hey, you get pleasure. We'll let you have some pleasure while you have your agony. In fact, the pleasure is creating the agony. You've never had the experience of love. true peace. So you wouldn't know what that is. And you wouldn't realize that it's far, far more, it's far better than this little bit of pleasure that they're offering you. Because, you know, maybe it feels like pleasure to watch the television night and day, night and day, night and day. But that's not even pleasure. It's more like a nervous reaction that is forcing you to do something you don't even really want to do. You're like a slave because some drugs got control over you. And the drug itself keeps telling you, this is wonderful, I love it, this is what pleasure is, and I've got to keep doing this. And so you never have the moment of peace to think and realize, you know what? I remember when I was a little boy, a little girl or whatever, and I didn't have these drugs in my system, or I wasn't watching this television, or I wasn't believing in this rat race, and I was happy. Something's wrong. So once you can come to that conclusion and you begin to realize that the liars are trying to keep us in the concrete reality that's not a reality. It's just an illusion that's crumbling under their feet because they are losing power over people's minds as we speak. And once you realize that, then it's so easy to realize that if there are bad guys, there's also good guys. And there are also people that are fighting night and day to try and keep these bad guys away from us. Now, why would they be doing that? Because we're their children, relatives, and normally humans that are awake love their relatives and humans, and they want to tell you the truth. Yeah, Jesus wanted to help you because he loves you, because he's your brother. And he told us we're all brothers and sisters, and that's why he did it. It's not some incomprehensible, unimaginable thing that Jesus was an actual person that wasn't corrupted by this false reality. And he came and he told, I mean, I can understand you wouldn't believe in something as a rumor, but there's a book written, and thousands of books, not just one. It wasn't only the Bible, Dave. No, there's thousands of books. The Apocrypha of John, the Gnostic documents, and the Nag Hammadi library, and like I said, the Talmud, and many, many thousands of pieces of information, including the reality we live in, where Christianity has pervaded the whole world. And we've got shrines that go back to the very days when these people existed. And we've got, we could go on and on and on and on. But this happened. There's no reason to doubt it. And well, why didn't Jesus do something and help us and save us? He did everything possible to wake you up, including literally giving up his own divine nature and coming and living as a slave. He was still a divine being, just as you still are. But you've emptied your divinity. You're not using your authority. And you're down here acting like a slave. And Jesus did it and willingly went all the way to the cross. But you wouldn't believe that. If you wouldn't believe that that happened, then at least understand what it means, what the story means. Do you at least believe that you need to be delivered? Do you at least believe that there's got to be some good people in the universe watching over us if there's a bunch of bad people that are trying to kill us? Wouldn't it be logical that there are some good people that would like to help us? Maybe our mothers and fathers want to help us, but they don't know how because they got duped. But they got mothers and they got fathers. Is it possible that there are other beings in the universe that are watching over us? So, well, I don't know. That's speculation, Dave. Hey. Somebody orchestrated the universe just the way it is. And in spite of the devil, we know he exists, and all these bad people that are doing everything in their power to kill us and disrupt our way of life and put a false reality to us and everything. But, in spite of that, the message that we still have, that's written down in all these thousands of books that we supposedly have, which we do. And these books say, love one another. There's a devil in your world. He's trying to kill you. And you say, I don't believe in that. Hey, oh, by the way, the devil wrote a book. I want to go read that devil book. Ha ha. Wait a minute. If you don't believe in the devil, why are you reading this book? If you don't believe in the devil, I understand. Evil, right? Arbitrary stuff. Building up a materialized world so that the elite get to be on top and the poor get to be down there in the gutter. And you don't believe in that, right? But yet you're participating in that arrangement. And you won't even entertain the idea that the only reason we are in this suffering is because we won't stop. We won't stop believing lies that we think is perfectly legitimate to believe. But the stuff that we say is conspiracy and stupid, and I would never believe in Jesus, right? Because Jesus has got to be a hoax. But yet that's the only other alternative, is that there is an actual divine purpose to this world. And that we're going through this and we're being persecuted by people who don't like us. And we had to let this play out because we're only just little children and we don't know until we learn. And so we're like little children listening, and there's somebody that comes along and offers us all this pleasure and stuff, and we have to be allowed to take up the offer. We're free moral agents. If our Father in heaven came down here and stopped us from drinking our whiskey and stopped us from doing what these people are saying us to do, and stopped the liar from lying, then we wouldn't be allowed to have free will. Because you see, we're the ones who offered the devil the hour to speak at the podium. We paid his salary. The devil said, I might be able to make some pleasure for you. Just bow down and worship me. We said, great. Where can I get my pleasure? Now, Jesus could say, no, you're not allowed to make that decision. Or he could say, you know what? You made that decision. Now I'm going to kill you. No, Jesus knows that you made the decision because you were deceived. And the only way to come out of it is to wake up on your own, to see how badly they're treating you, and finally one day to say, man, that's bad. I don't want to be treated like this anymore. And you finally come to a place where you mature and you wake up and you get to a place where you have integrity because you've experienced all this and you know that they're bad and you know that there's no good thing that can come of this world. And you know that you're being deceived and enticed by your own lust. And you're beginning to get stronger and you're pushing some of that away. You're not jumping into every bad thing that comes along. You're using self-control. You're beginning to listen to the Holy Spirit within you. The Lord's not going anywhere. He'll continue to talk and stand at the door and knock until you finally open the door and let him in. All right? But to say you don't believe in Jesus, and then you go out there and follow the devil, that don't make no sense to me. And if you say, well, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Dave. There might be a good world somewhere out there, and there's a bad world that people are getting, caught up in. And this good world, but the good world doesn't have to be Jesus. All right. You don't have to call him Jesus if you don't want to. But history says that somebody shook up Rome 2,000 years ago. And it split the kingdom in half. And many poor people heard the message of Jesus. And they saw his healing and his love. And they were there. Now I understand. We're all like his children. And when Jesus was on the earth, he took many people that were just humans like you and I, like Thomas who didn't believe and Peter who denied him. And they were humans. And so we're all going through this. And he's not mad at you for listening to the devil for a short while. He knows that you you got confused and deceived. But all I'm saying is, if you're deceived by this world and you're not even aware of it, then how do you know that you don't believe in Jesus? Or how do you know that Jesus doesn't exist? You are so deceived by this world and all the lies. Well, yeah, but Dave, it says in a book somewhere that that all the stuff about Jesus is not true. It's not in history. Think about this. They don't want you to believe in Jesus, so they told you that. That's a lie. But there is something else other than the medicine you're taking, right? Even if you don't, at this point, you say, Dave, I understand, kind of get what you're saying. Look, I don't know if I believe in Jesus. I know that I'm not happy and I don't know what to do. I am searching and I'm listening, Dave, but give me a little, you got to give me something else here. All right, here's it. This is the last point I'll make. If you're sitting in a chair or standing up or whatever you're doing at this very moment, and you look around, look out the window, and you see the real things out there. Can you see the difference between the real things that grow out of the ground and the nature of this world, and then the things that are contrived and built by man, like the city, the laws? Can you see where the laws come from this authority of Moses? Priesthoods. Do you see, you go to a courtroom, which is the court of a temple. Do you see that holy wood or Hollywood is their religious, ridiculous beliefs that they put upon mankind? And they even made the people that work for Hollywood, right, their shrine, they call them idols, right? American Idol, right? And then we get down and we scream and cry, tears coming down our face. We love you. Oh, we bow down and get on our knees and weep for these people. We go and see them and grovel at every little word. There are idols. We're not supposed to worship idols at the Holy Wood shrine. Yeah, Aleister Crowley had a temple down there called the Templi Ordi, and he created, his students was Anton LaVey, who created the Satanic Church and created the music industry, and L. Ron Hubbard, who created some other crazy religion, and his students are people like Tom Cruise and these guys that are in Hollywood. And he created Paulson, who created NASA, and other people who went out and made CIA, and people that created, the banking industry, or whatever. All of this is created by the devil, because Aleister Crowley could not receive the mysteries through the initiation in love. But he had to go and create a phony, false Illuminati group that is, they don't know the truth. They put everything upside down. They wear upside down crosses. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not spiritual. But Aleister Crowley sat in a circle and cut himself and sacrificed babies and took heroin and begged Satan to come into him. Because just like Peter denied Simon Magus the power or the authority to whomsoever he would lay his hands on would receive the Holy Spirit, but he knew his heart wasn't right. So Aleister Crowley, his heart wasn't right. He wanted to overthrow, because he was working for the devil. And the devil was giving him things, sex and pleasures and power and, all this stuff that they give them to enslave them. For a moment of pleasure, they sell their soul. And now we're all enslaved by this ridiculousness. And you're doing the same thing, basically, that Aleister Crowley did when you allow this world to deceive you simply because it looks, your lustful heart wants it. And it blinds your mind. And the God of this world is blinding your mind. So what I'm telling you is that if you can finally come to the point where you realize that this world's a lie, and that this concrete asphalt world is a lie, and their court system and their government system and all of that goes back to the Moses and the law and the king that they demanded, right? And the priesthood. They said, oh, Moses, no, don't let this deity talk to us, but you talk to us. Put a veil over your face and make a priesthood. And hide the truth from us, right? Make a building and call it sacred, and we're not allowed to go there, and we can't get to God. We got to go behind the veil, and it's all secret, and all these little priests and kings, they rule over us, but you talk to God and you tell us what to do. Because we can't grasp love. We can't grasp light and brotherly freedom and the Constitution and liberty and justice for all. We couldn't grasp it. So we took the deception. And why did we do? I mean, think about it. What did the children of Israel say? They said, oh, we're thirsty. We want water. We want bread. We want the meat pots where we left Egypt and there were meat pots. We want to go back. We don't want to go to the promised land. You understand? You chose this world. The Lord tried several times to help mankind. And he's not going to give up. He stands at the door and he knocks. And if you don't believe that's real, then the only alternative is to accept the delusion. The delusion, once you see the delusion, you realize that it's a lie. That's what a delusion is. And what is a lie? It's somebody trying to keep the truth from you. So what are they trying to hide from you? There must be a better world they're hiding from you. There must be better truth. What is it they don't want you to know about? They don't want you to be free. What did Jesus teach? Freedom. You don't need a man to teach you. You need only the Holy Spirit. He said, I set you free. He set the captives free. Gave liberty to those that were bound. Come and follow me and have eternal life and drink life's water for free. And the Pharisees didn't like that. What do you think freedom is, friends? It's Christ, which means the anointing. The power of the thing that modern scientists call energy or light or the power of the universe. It's very powerful. It's the source of this physical world. You are the temple of the living deity. See, that's not a conspiracy. That's the truth. I promise you, with all my heart, I promise you, this physical world is not the reality. It's only a manifestation of it. Don't be a materialist and don't let the lusts of the flesh guide you. Use your mind. Love one another. And remember, no matter who said it, it's the truth. The truth will set you free. Either that's true or not. If the truth will set you free, then go find the truth and see. You've tried the lies. You're not happy with that. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You know that's a lie. Wake up. Wake up. It's Christ in you, the hope of glory. You must have the revelation of that real world that's right here, that is loving and quiet, kind, happy, and wonderful. But you can't have that wonderful life. You can't. You can't have it. Because you don't want it. You rejected it. It's that simple. You have received pleasure at any cost. You won't even sit and pray for an hour. Jesus asked him, will you not wait and pray and watch with me for an hour? They couldn't even do it. You can't do it. Because you're selfish. All you want is pleasure. You want to abuse your body. You want to wear yourself out pursuing pleasures in greedy, hysterical spasms of futility. You're chasing stupidity. And you're asking, why is life so bad? What are you doing? You're in a contrived reality trying to become powerful in some contrived system that says you're better than other people because you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or you're something, right? You're important. And these little people, they mean nothing. That's not the real world. That's the kingdoms of this world. And if there's a kingdom in this world, I guarantee there is a real world. It's not concrete and asphalt. It's not the Goggle Brothers and your fantasy football on Monday nights. It's not going to a fast food restaurant and having food shot through the window at you for $1.99. That's not the real world. That's a very false, contrived world that's killing you. If you want to find the real world, just stop and be calm. Stop pursuing these material, ridiculous things that the world is pursuing, and say a prayer. Because the Lord is within you, and the kingdom of our Father and our Divine Mother is within us. It's within our grasp. It's been there all along. They stand and they wait for us to simply receive. They love us. They're not going to let us down. Everything will be all right. Stay with both. I'm going to go ahead and go. See you later.